Welcome to the Big Cat Lounge podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm KZ and I'm here with Big Cat Chad. Today's guest is coming from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. He was a top 15 semi-finalist for the 2020 PMO Influencer of the Year award. He's a career coach, Agile Trainer, Global Goodwill Ambassador, certified senior portfolio and project management professional, and founder of RMK Coaching. He's always striving to do better and give back to the community as much as he can. We welcome Rami Kaibni to the Big Cat Lounge podcast.
Welcome, Romney. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Nice to have you.
Thank
Tell
you.
us more about this top 15 PMO award.
So this comes through the PMO Global Alliance. It's a global organization for PMOs, and I always volunteer with them. And we recently had an initiative called Hackathon where we work on so many initiatives so we can improve PMOs. And that's only one initiative. I also participate with them as a judge for the PMO Global Awards for the actual PMOs. So we evaluate proposals and presentations from various PMOs, and then we rate them based on our evaluation. At the end of the year, there is an award for the best PMO.
Now, for our listeners that don't know what a PMO is, do you mind telling our listeners what a PMO is?
Yeah, sure. So a PMO can be a project management office or a program management office or a portfolio management office. It depends on the setting. But in general, the PMO works as a support office to organizations. Sometimes it takes the role of a supportive office, sometimes it as a strategic office. So it depends again on what the projects and programs need and how the setting of the organization is.
So what did it take to qualify for the 2020 PMO Influencer of the Year award?
Well, actually, I personally was selected by a third party that is unknown. So people voted who to include at the beginning without our involvement. And then they nominated around, I don't know the exact number who was nominated, but then there was a judging committee that sat down, and based on that, they shortlisted all the candidates to 15 only.
It says you're a career coach. Now, do you just career coach those in Agile and project management and those similar disciplines, or do you career coach a lot of different disciplines?
Yeah, no, I'm a career coach for a lot of different disciplines. I do career coaching for individuals, basically any individual who wants career coaching, like, for example, individuals who are venturing into the practical life as new graduates and they are confused of how and where to start, or others who are not happy where they are and they want to change their careers. Also, I help people who wants to stand out in their companies and organizations.
Nice. So what got you interested in Agile? How did you find yourself in the world of Agile and project management?
Well, I have a structural engineering background, and when I started back in 2004, I started working on construction projects, and working on construction projects and project management is closely related. So over time, I ventured from doing design into project management. As you have more years of experience, you get promoted and you start getting into the managerial level of managing projects. So I took the ladder up step by step. And, as I progressed during my career, I learned a lot. I also work on improving myself all the time. And I was involved in Agile since probably more than 7 years now, because this is, Agile is basically a mindset. It's honestly a mindset, and it has so many different qualities than waterfall or traditional project management.
Today's sponsor is Anchor FM app. Go download the free Anchor app today to get started. You can find it at your Play Store or App Store. It's everything you need to make a podcast, and it distributes everything for you so it can be heard on multiple platforms such as Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and many more. This is what I'm currently using right now to edit and record my podcast, and you can do so from your phone or computer. And the tools are really easy to use to help document the Big Cat Lounge journey. So what are you waiting for? Go today and download it.
So basically, being agile is being open to change. For example, you have to inspect and adapt all the time. You know, when you work in a traditional environment, they plan everything ahead of time. They feel so sore about having any changes throughout the project. And as you progress, you know, sometimes the client have changing requirements. So being agile is accepting the change basically and delivering in increments. So it's an adaptive approach rather than the traditional waterfall approach. That's like I'm just trying to explain to you in very short and brief way. There is much more to this for sure.
You know, you hear agile all the time, and there's so many different complex components to it. It'd be hard to explain it to some, you know, describe a definition of agile to someone for the common person.
No, I mean, there is lots about agile. There is the agile values, principles, the agile manifesto. So there are lots of parts for somebody to understand what agile is. But in principle, agile is basically a mindset to start with. So you have to be agile before you do agile.
You have to be ready to pivot. So you kind of have to be ready to pivot, adapt, and change. So you work in commercial, residential, institutional, and oil and gas projects. That sounds really interesting.
I worked in many sectors, of which some of these are the sectors I worked in. I also work with non-for-profits delivering projects, development projects for senior communities. So we build senior communities.
Okay.
So my focus during the past few years was on working with non-for-profit clients as the development manager and consultant, delivering projects for their senior communities. We build independent living buildings, supportive living, residential care. Of course, this is the part of my job as a consultant working full-time with a company. The career coaching is my own business. That's different. I have two jobs.
Okay. Nice. How long would it take you to do these to manage these projects from start to finish?
It depends, but on average, I would say 3 years.
Oh, wow. Kyle, what are you on a 5-year project now?
Yeah. I'm actually, what's funny is I actually use this tool called Agile Reporter.
I was going to ask, is Agile a part of y'all's philosophy there?
Yeah, so we're using this tool, and like you were mentioning, it's just in increments. So like we know that the product that we have now is just, it's early in its phase, and there's going to be tremendous amount of enhancements and changes that are needed, but it's just going to be over time in a phased approach. So that's what we're using right now to help automate regulatory reporting.
So what are you advising your career? So, I mean, with it being the pandemic and things the way they are a lot of more people reaching out to you for career coaching, or maybe thinking about a change, or maybe thinking about starting an entrepreneurial business?
Well, I wouldn't say career coaching. I would say they mostly are reaching out to me for professional development mentoring. So many people now are looking to do professional development, whether certifications or courses. So they look for guidance on what's best for them, how to do it, what's the best way to tackle it in the most feasible way, and which is better than what. Like I personally have more than 40 certifications.
Wow.
So I work on improving myself every year. I committed to doing that every year.
So do you get like 2 to 5 certifications per year?
At least.
Wow.
How do you have the motivation?
Kyle, you got some catching up to do, man.
Yeah, how do you have the motivation to get all of these certifications? I hear you have a certification wall of fame.
Yeah, I
Does he
do.
really?
I started this wall of fame last year. Yeah, well, you have to be committed to yourself and to the profession. The
Yeah.
experience and the knowledge you get from that experience is limited to that experience or work. So the world is evolving so fast that if you don't work on diversifying and teaching yourself, then nobody will do that for you. I mean, I always say you are responsible for your own growth.
Mm-hmm.
So you're investing in yourself. So it's more about being committed than having the time. You always have the time. You can always make time.
Yeah.
I just read a stat the other day that said the average CEO reads 60 books a year.
Yeah.
And when you do the math, that's five books a month. Do you have time to read 5 books a month, Rami? Or I guess you have to when you're getting all these certifications. Or
I
not
mean,
books, but maybe online.
I do, but I don't always have time to read that much because I participate in so many speaking events. I participate in volunteering as well, mentoring people. So I divide my time equally for different activities.
So basically, how do you have time to go learn new certification or get new certifications and then kind of learn the new techniques of things you've already learned on the certifications you already have?
Well, most of the certifications I get them through a very they are globally recognized through decent organizations. So most of them they need renewal on either annual or every 3 years. So you have to renew those certifications based on education hours that you gain. So they make sure you are up to date on everything. Now I obtain new certifications, and while I'm doing that, participating in so many events and also I write articles and I write blogs too. So all of this gives me the chance to stay up to date on everything that I learned. Like in principle, so many of the certificates that I have are somehow related.
Have mainly project management and software type certifications, or what? Do you have other types of certifications as well?
No, I don't have software. I'm not a software guy. I do have certifications in project management, portfolio management, program management, Scrum. I do have other certifications in business analysis.
Nice.
Yeah, I do have certifications in Lean Six Sigma.
Oh, wow.
What exactly is Scrum? I mean, I always hear of Scrum and a Scrum Master, and it's a great profession, but I don't really know what Scrum is.
So Scrum is basically, you can say it's part of the Agile family, and it's a framework. It's a framework to develop software mainly using increments. Now, my interest in Scrum came not because I'm a software guy, but from the fact that I myself try to apply Agile on my projects, and that's why I studied so many agile frameworks and methodologies, and to be able to make sure what best works for construction projects. And I came to a conclusion that a hybrid approach between waterfall and agile would work best. Scrum might not be the best for construction projects, but it certainly helps you manage teams when you deliver, for example, software, because you deliver in small increments, in sprints, time-box sprints, and that works well with the software. We use Agile while we are in the design phase. Then as we venture into the construction, we go waterfall, because that's it. So we try to be agile during design to make sure all the requirements are there. The client is happy with the final design. All the changes are captured. The requirements are captured. We are in line with the business case, the strategic view of the organization, and the operations. And then when we start construction, we go waterfall.
So these projects you did in Asia, Middle East, Shanghai, China, and then did they all take 3 years to complete?
No, some projects took longer than that because, for example, in the Middle East, when I used to work on oil and gas projects, each project takes almost 5 years. And we were in one of the projects, I remember we were 30,000 people. I know the number sounds big for you, but that's it. So nobody starts and finishes a project there. You finish your role there. So the minimum time I spent in a project was 1.5 years, but then you finish your role and then you leave to another project, because on these projects of this size, there are more than one project manager there.
As a career coach, what is some advice that you'd give to people applying? Because right now I get on LinkedIn a lot of messages that like recruiters are ghosting them and they just don't know what to do next.
That's a good point.
I mean, you know, I believe in one thing. You should put a career plan for yourself that best suit your goal. Don't look at it short term. Look at your career in 5 years or 10 years. Where do you want to be? And then based on that, you can put a plan on how you wish to go there. So sometimes I find people just running after money and position. This might, yeah, sure, this might be good for you on a short term, but if you want something long term, then I'd stick to what is best for you long term. And you know, I always was keen on doing my own thing, and that's why I started my own company. So this is something I always advise everyone to keep in the back of their head, even though they are employees. It's always good to keep this thought there, so one day you can establish something for you.
Do you advise people to put their 5 to 10 year plan in an agile Scrum framework?
I wrote an article that was published at the PM Project Management World Journal that the title of this is the added value of professional development and how to do it in an agile way.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see how it could play. So what's your 5 to 10 year goal?
I am now in my 7th year goal.
Okay.
So I put a plan to start venturing into improving myself, doing professional development, and then starting my own company. And by the time the 10-year mark, I am planning to be totally on my own, hopefully.
Nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
I mean, I work for an organization that is really great. So the environment is nice, and this is one thing I always advise people to look at. Sometimes the environment is worth lots of money. If you work in a stressful environment where people are not appreciative of your work, you can, yes, you can make some money, but it will get back at you health-wise, mentally.
If someone was wanting to get into project management and wanted to get certified and then get a job in project management, what would that look like for them? What kind of hours are they looking at? And
it doesn't work like this way, really.
No.
It doesn't work this way. It doesn't work by certifying and getting into project management. Project management starts with having experience. Then you get certified. Because without having experience, you won't make sense of estimates, you won't make sense of schedules, you won't make sense of anything, and you don't have experience how to manage stakeholders or engage them or do the right thing or take major decisions. Some decisions you have to make can be tough, and this all comes by experience. So many people, by the way, approach me and tell me, oh, I got my PMP, so how can I get my job now? I always tell them, like, if you don't have even if you have an experience, that's irrelevant. Or even if you went around the system and got your PMP and you actually don't have experience, yes, this will probably put you ahead of the line until you reach the interview. Then when you reach the interview, you will end up disappointed. And it's true. I heard about so many stories, man. Like it's sometimes frustrating to me because I feel bad for those who spend time and money investing in a certificate that will not really benefit them because they are going the other way. They are going in the wrong direction.
If somebody wants to get into project management, how does someone with no experience get into it?
So I always advise people who want to get into a project management to look for a role of a project coordinator. Why?
Oh,
Because a
okay.
project coordinator gets exposed to all the parts of the project, from
Oh.
project controls to contracts to managing the site to managing people. So 3-4 years of in the capacity of a project coordinator will give you a good experience in project management.
Would that person be learning Agile and Waterfall as a project coordinator, or would they have to go
It
learn that on their
depends.
own?
It depends. It depends. It depends how the organization functions. Some organizations still work 100% waterfall. Some organizations work agile. Some are in between. But again, um, at the first few years, you have to abide with what your organization is doing.
Mhm.
But as you grow and you have more expertise, you can always venture yourself and propose new frameworks for the organization to work on. To be a project coordinator, you probably need to have 1 or 2 years of experience in general, but not necessarily in a specific domain. You have to be committed, you have to be hardworking. So it's basically like you're starting from the scratch, starting from zero, right? So somebody who's starting from zero, of course, education background helps, but again, experience is what matters most. Combined with knowledge, it's a good recipe for success. But don't start with valuing one
Just
over the other.
Mhm.
so this really isn't a field you can just go buy a certificate and then just pop into a job, pop into it on day one. You can't
I
you
mean,
can't just get a certificate and just get a
no,
big
that
construction project management job.
that will almost never happen. And if it happens by any chance, and you have a very you have the person manages to pass the interview, I very highly doubt they will pass the probation period.
You got your first experience because of your structural engineering background, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I come from a structural
Gotcha.
engineering background. Yeah, so I started in construction projects, and that's how I grew up.
Pivoted into
And
enjoying the project management side better.
it was a smooth transition for me because I was there from the start.
What is a Global Goodwill Ambassador?
So a Global Goodwill Ambassador is basically, this is a designation they give you when you do lots of volunteering. You help people, and like it's they look at the humanitarian projects that you work in or do. Like I help so much with volunteering. I help newcomers. I volunteer in communities and in so many different capacities, which I'd rather keep confidential for now.
Yeah, no, that's
Uh,
fine. That's fine.
yeah, I don't like to brag about myself, but they had their way. I mean, I came from a place at some point where I needed help, so I totally understand when somebody needs help, and I'm
Oh,
always
good,
willing
good.
to help if I can.
Nice,
Right?
nice. Yeah, thanks for
So
coming on our show to help us.
Thank you
We
so much.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
no, that's my
Absolutely.
pleasure. But by the way, don't laugh at me. But I know Kyle, and what's your name?
My name's Chad.
Chad.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Chad.
I
Big
know
Cat Chad is what
I,
Kyle calls me.
I know the big cat, but the Chad part, I just
Nice. Yeah, it's Chad. Very, very, very nice to meet you.
yeah, finally.
So how do you know Kyle?
Through LinkedIn. He was kind enough to get in touch with me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn's so amazing, isn't it? How many connections do you have, Rami? It says you have more than 500.
No, I have more than 20,000.
Wow.
Woo! How many do you have now, Kyle? Kyle, aren't you up to like 11,000 or
No,
6,000?
it doesn't. It's not a numbers game, man. It's how much
No, it's really not.
how much impact you're providing to the community.
Well, no, but it's like it does show how many people want to be connected to you. It shows that 20,000 people want to be connected to them. That's kind of
true.
impressive.
That is true.
It's for me, like, LinkedIn can be it's a very good platform if you know how to use it. But I receive so many requests, and I hate to decline requests, but I have
Yeah.
to sometimes
Yeah.
because some people are abusing this platform by creating fake profiles or just being there for fun.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I'd rather stick to the professional side of it.
I'm looking at your
It
wall of fame. You really have
depends
that many
which one.
certifications?
Depends which wall you're
PMP,
looking
you got
on.
PMP, PMI. Oh, I'm looking at your LinkedIn
No,
wall
you
of
have to look
fame.
at my website. There is a new one with expanded certification.
Oh, what's your website again?
It's rmkcoaching.com. Go to portfolio, then go to certifications, and there you can see the newly updated wall of fame.
Portfolio certifications.
So what would you tell your 18-year-old self if you could today, since you're seeing so much?
My 18-year-old self always wanted to be a surgeon, so I can't tell him. And still up to date, I would want to do the same thing.
So did you go right to project management from the other side of the construction, or did you get some training, or did you just had enough experience that you already knew what was going on?
Yeah, I had enough experience that I knew what was going on, but I didn't go directly as a project manager. I started as a section manager, and then and then moved my way up. That's why project management is not as simple, especially for construction projects. I mean, maybe for other projects, like for example, I don't mean to undermine other industries, but for example, when you are an IT project manager for a software development project, you worry about safety, but it's not worrisome as much as it is on a big construction job. For example.
True.
The other thing, quality, for example. Quality is important, but if you miss a code, or if you miss to refactor something in an IT project, is not as bad. I mean, rectifying the work is not as costly as it is when you forget pulling a column, or you pour the wall in the wrong location.
Or a load-bearing wall or column somewhere wrong, or you missed one of those.
So it depends which industry do you want to get involved in, and I honestly find the work going through the tech direction these days. So if somebody coming new and he's into the tech, he have this techie thing inside him, I would advise him to start looking at being into the IT thing, software development or whatever. It's a good start.
Now, how long were you a section manager before you transitioned?
For around 5 years.
Wow. So even with your experience, you still took 5 years to.
Of course, man.
Now,
you can't manage.
Can't rush it.
You can't.
Gotcha.
You will know yourself. You can't manage a project that's worth $500 million.
If someone gets into it, I mean, is this a six-figure profession? Can someone earn six figures at this and beyond?
Again, it depends which company you work for.
You're right.
I know some people who work, who have the same experience as mine, who work for big organizations, who earn maybe 1.5 times that the way I earn, and they don't have half of my certifications, for example. But for me, money is one measure. When I look at a proposal, I look at the overall picture. I look at the environment. I look how much I can grow in this organization, and I look at the money. So money is one factor, but some people are just one-way street. They look at just the money and the position. It depends on the person, but I would say if you have 20 years of experience in project management, you would be in the range of 6 figures. No matter which organization you are, between 15 to 20 years of experience, no matter which organization you work with, you will probably be in the 6-figure range.
Yeah, because construction is just one discipline within project management. There's so many other disciplines that need project management.
The project management is one thing. You have also portfolio management, program management.
We can touch real quick on portfolio management. So you handled more portfolio management projects as well?
I do. Like, for example, our client have portfolios that I am managing one of them.
Okay.
And within this portfolio, we have programs and projects.
Oh, it's a portfolio of projects. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Cool. Okay, nice.
Portfolio of programs and projects and operations, because the portfolio can have can have different things in it, and they are not necessarily to be interdependent.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much.
If people want to find out more about you, where can they look?
They can connect with me on LinkedIn, or they can check my website at rmkcoaching.com.
Hey, you can give us one last. Do you have any message for just in general, someone who's looking to change a career, or looking to be coached, or maybe even looking to excel their leadership in their current position, or just any kind of tips you have?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, never, if you feel the need to change your career, never feel afraid, because so many of your skills are transferable from one industry to another, especially your soft skills and some of the managerial skills. So there is always a way. I always say, I'd rather spend 5 years being happy where I am rather than spend a lifetime being sad about where I am. So when there is a will, there is a way. If you think you need to change your career, then do it.
We are accepting applications if you think you have what it takes to be a big cat and be a guest on the show. Email us at bigcatlounge@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to the Big Cat Lounge podcast. Hope to see you soon.